Hello, everybody, and welcome to week 18. Beyond allyship, what real solidarity looks like. Because, we're all used to people that just like to say stuff and pretend that they're with us and, like, oh, the social media allies. But where are the people standing by your side in the darkness, in the trenches, as they used to say? Where are the people that are running out of the trenches to get you off the battlefield to drag you back to safety? Where are those people in your life? And that's what we're going to be exploring today on the 20th of November, week 18. After today, there's just two more. And then we've got some more series for you spreading out. We're already planning 2026, of course, which we would be. But let's get cracking on this today. So what we, again, as always, a little bit of a brief of what we're going to be looking at is beyond allyship, stepping into courageous collaboration. Again, me with my alliteration. Allyship, the effortless is effortless when nothing's at stake. And that's what I mean by those people that they love to say, yes, I'm with you, I support you. But there's no skin in the game. And it's when they get skin in the game that we really want to be looking at their words and their actions, and are they matching? So courageous collaboration is where the real work begins. That's where people go, you know what? Yeah, I'm all in. Let's get this is a hell yes. And moving beyond statements, slogans, and the comfort of performative support. And we know what this is. Those of us who are in business, you go along to these networking events and people are like, yes, yes, I'll support you. Yes, I'll be at your event. Yes, 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 yes. And then you host an event. Where are they? These people that say, they're going to support you, they're going to buy your products, they're going to refer people to, where are they? We've all been there. I have, in the last almost 30 years, I've been mentoring and helping other people to scale their business. I've seen it all too often. People have put so much work and effort into building something, into creating an event. And then on the night or on the day, these people have, they've been heartbroken. And then that's the thing, is like, people, are we really considering the things that we're saying and the false hope that we're giving people by our performative support? And solidarity that asks something of us, such as action and accountability. So action, actually showing up, putting act into motion, action. And then obviously the accountability of our words. Are we following up and actually telling the truth, or going, oh, sorry, I broke down or ran out of fuel, the internet wasn't working, or the dog ate my homework, or, or I just forgot, or, something to do with Trump. It might be Elon Musk. It might be anybody. It might be, the sky is falling for those of us who've got children, have watched Chicken Little on far too many occasions. And that willingness to be uncomfortable, to be a real ally. Now, this word allyship I'm going to share a word with you, and I do sometimes get it a bit, pronunciation a bit wrong. It's a neologism. Neologism. And what that actually means is it's like two words that have come together. And this came about during the Trump's first presidency and around the whole George Floyd incident. Now, there are some people that still believe that he was murdered, and there are still some people that, feel that, he was, well, anyway, we're not really talking about George Floyd today, but, those of us who have done our research, we all know that he died of a massive fentanyl overdose trying to hide his stuff from the police. He was already suffocating, but there we go. Watch the body cam footage if you can. But what we're actually seeing is, this is it's a phrase that's come out from around those times, and it's been used in many, many different ways. It says here, the activism to describe efforts by groups of people to advance the interests of others. Sometimes it's not always advancing the right interests for everybody. It's the advancing the interests of a certain group of people with a certain agenda that's not always good for everybody. There are others that use this word to say that we're supporting people from marginalized groups and understanding and actively championing them. And yes, there is that. But again, who are these marginalized groups? Is it the redheads? Is it the Celtic women? Is it, people that are asylum seekers? Is it people that, as a friend of mine, Gary Parsons, is talking about, he's talking about facial palsy and facial disfigurement. Is it something along those lines? Are people standing with him? Is it easy to stand with people that has got something that we can visually see rather than the trauma that is invisible, or a brain injury? Or the women that will be benefiting from the royalties of my second book, owning out, well, not my second book, oh gosh, if I was still on my second book, would be rewinding 10 years. My next book, who are going to be benefiting from the royalties, owning out ovaries, all the royalties of that book are going to endometriosis. Over 190 million women every year suffer from this disease. And so, these women are dismissed. And so there's a lot of women championing this and people getting involved. So again, they're actively supporting. And some define it, as it says here, as a changing, the inclusive use of language, removing bias. But in that way, are we expecting the whole world to bend, and changing linguistic systems of, thousands of years? And, how much are we going to bend and restructure language systems the whole world over just to support a very small minority? And how are we looking at removing bias from hiring and promotion processes? For example, when I was at Cardiff University event recently, we were looking at supporting and including people within the workplace who had disabilities. And, these people are guaranteed an interview. And if they're not, these people can actually come back and say, well, I wasn't given an interview. But then when we look at it on a small business, we're putting this job out there, whoever wants to apply can apply. But if we're having to guarantee interviews to people who are disabled and everybody is applying, we would spend most of our time interviewing and not building our business. And we probably wouldn't have a business to run by the time we'd offered that. So looking at what real action is, looking at how we can remove those prejudices, because most of us, we just say, this is the job. If you can do it, apply. If you think you can do it, you've got the right attitude. We don't care whether you're disabled or not. We will support you. And that's how most small business owners actually work. And, are we sometimes putting things in the place that aren't absolutely necessary? So it's, again, looking at what real smart solidarity looks like. And making sure that everybody's included, but it's not at the detriment of lots of other people. So that's why I wanted to make sure that those contexts were in place today. Because when we're actually speaking up about some of these things, and I know that some of the things I say, not a lot of people will agree with me, but there's a vast amount of people that do. But how many of those people that agree with me will agree with me in public? How many messages do I get in private after I've written something? Oh my God, I absolutely love what you wrote, but I can't comment publicly because of my investors, because of my clients, because I might lose networking, I might lose these opportunities. Is that real solidarity? Not really. Because if it's not public and they're not standing with you publicly, is it real solidarity or is it cowardice? These are some of the tougher questions we have to ask. We have to refuse to stay on the sidelines. As a friend of mine who used to describe it, Swedish person, used to say, no, not Swedish, Swiss person, with Switzerland, we kind of sit in the middle, we don't get involved, And it's like, yeah, but you're allowing stuff to happen by staying quiet. You're allowing stuff to happen. You cannot walk on by. Those days are over. That we've got some phrases in the English language, and I know that they translate into different languages as well, and they're, a play on a theme. But you've got to be willing to stick your neck out. You've got to be willing to be that tall poppy, and you've got to be willing to be that tall poppy that's cut down on a regular basis, especially if you're a woman in business and tackling some really challenging topics. That we've heard the phrase living and dying by the sword. You live by the sword, you die by the sword, and you're going to die on that hill, and you are going to go to prison for your beliefs. And I remember when I was in the courtroom in 2017, clearing my name against Police Scotland. And I actually turned around and said to the judge, I'm prepared to go to prison for telling the truth rather than lying to give truth to their lies. And it really shook the courtroom because they weren't used to somebody being that strong in their truth and knowing what the truth was and exposing the police corruption and racism and sexism. that the judge had to take a moment, and it was like, oh, this woman's really quite serious, and yeah, I'm absolutely bloody serious. You know, I might be a bit cheeky, I might be a bit tongue in cheek, but I am absolutely serious about everything and passionate about everything that I do and I say, and that I believe in, because, you know, why would I not be? You know, I'm 47 years of age. If I haven't got to the point where I back myself yet, then I've got work to do. And that's one of the things that we see a lot in performative solidarity, because it's not really so. These people that are just performative, they have no strong grounding. They have fears that they are going to lose something. Rather than lose themselves and lose their integrity, they're more worried about losing the vanity and, you know, the looking good amongst their peers and being seen to be that person. You know, the other day I was in the park and this woman said, you know, her daughter was throwing a tantrum. I know she'd hit her sister and she wanted a bag of crisps and she wanted it now. And the woman goes, "Can I just jump in front of you and get?" I was like, "No, she's got to learn." And the next thing I know, coming out this woman, "She's got autism, she's autistic." And I thought, well, you know, why would that make a difference? You know, why is, you know, does she walk around with, "I'm autistic"? No. How is anybody supposed to know? And, you know, it is difficult in today's world, because you are going to get people that then cry wolf, or they're going to say that, you know, something's gonna be going wrong, like this young lady. You know, how was I supposed to know that she wasn't just another moody child that, you know, didn't like the word no because she hasn't had discipline at home? And why is it this woman hasn't got the measures in place to be able to support her daughter in moments like that? You know, why is it then, why is it attacking other people? Again, I am prepared to stand in my truth. And when she had walked away, the people behind me and in front of me, I was like, well, that was awkward. It's like, not really. You know, how was I supposed to know? You know, and is it really true? Does her daughter have autism, or was it just something just to shame me because she was, you know, not comfortable with having no said to her? You know, was there a pattern there? And, you know, we have to make sure that what we're doing is, you know, were those people, you know, they agreed with me after she had gone, but they kept quiet whilst we were in that, while she was there, while she was giving all this abuse to me. Not my problem, you know. I know who I am. I stand in that. And we are, you know, I know that there are other instances like that in many other areas of life for a lot of people. Um, you know, people will say, you know, well, it's okay for you, you know, you've got this platform, you're privileged, you're white, and you're, you know, you're a woman, and it's like, yeah, I am white privileged, and any white person that tells you they're not white privileged, you know, is fooling themselves. Am I white privileged as a woman? Are women? Yeah, I am. You know, I know that there's a lot of black women out there, or women of color, that are not getting the opportunities that I get. But am I getting as many opportunities as the white man? Maybe not. But am I going after them? Absolutely. Do I have more opportunities than a white man? Absolutely. There are lots of men that don't have the opportunities I have. So again, it's about looking at where we sit in society, the platform that we're building, the opportunities we've created, and the presence and the influence that we have. Because whether it's, you know, somebody within the school, that, you know, you might see that, you know, a caretaker takes really good care of their work and takes pride in their work and is friendly to all the kids. You know, that those, some of those kids might actually confide in them, and they have more privilege than the teacher because they see the kids, they hear them. You know, they might play a game of basketball with them, you know, but they've got more privilege than the teachers or the head of year or the headmaster. But the school administration team will probably look down on the caretaker. And it reminds me of a time when I was in Egypt. And I think I wrote about this in Wallahi. No, in fact, I know I wrote about this in Wallahi, my second book. I went into school one day, and oh my gosh, there was water everywhere. And the school was separated into the British International Division and and into the National Division. And that's how it is. So in Egypt, you have government, national, and international schools. Sometimes you have two international schools together, but it's normally an international school and a national school, and the government schools are very separate. because people from the national school don't want their children to go to a government school. They want to be associated with the international schools because it looks better. Again, the superiority, is it solidarity, reflective glory, and all of that jazz. Because a lot of the performative solidarity is actually just reflective glory that people are seeking. And one of the things, and so this morning I've walked into the school and there is water flooding everywhere. It's running down the stairs from the first floor, along the I don't know how long it had been pouring, but it had been pouring for a while, and it was starting to seep into some of the classrooms. I took my Ugg boots off, I rolled up my jeans, I grabbed the mop and, starting the broom, and we started brushing the water out into the garden and into the centre bit where the drains were. And now I'm helping all the matrons that were there cleaning up, and they were like, Miss Dawn, please don't, please don't. I'm like, what? We're a team. We've got to get it cleared before it damages the kids' work. And as soon as the other teachers arrived, and the head of year and the head mistress, I was really shut down by them all. Like, you shouldn't be doing that, Miss Dawn. You're going to get sick. I went, yeah, but if I get sick, I can afford healthcare. The matrons can't. We should all be doing this. It's not of them and us. This is our school. These are our kids. We should be working together to clean this up, not standing there, oh dear, I might break a nail or I can't do that. I'm a teacher, don't you know? No, these are all our kids. We should all be mucking in and getting the job done. But that wasn't what they were doing. So they had originally seen me as privileged, but I was privileged because I would have been able to afford, I was able to afford healthcare, but the matrons weren't. And that hadn't even entered my head that I shouldn't be helping. But again, how are we using our privilege and how are we seeing it and viewing it? Because where we're born in life is all chance. I could have been born one of those matrons. I could have been born severely disabled or disfigured. I could have been born, in, I don't know, where we could have been born anywhere. I mean, I'm thinking of all the places I'd love to have been born, but I was born where I was born, into the set of parents that I was born into, the situation I was born. Have I changed my situation? Absolutely. Do I still speak like this? No, I don't speak like this, because I know that if I speak like this a lot of the time, I'm not going to get opportunities that I should be getting. And that's the thing, when I've learnt that, yeah, that's how most people from where I grew up speak. But I know that if I wanted to get opportunities internationally and I wanted to be taken seriously in business, I had to tweak and change the way I speak. That's just the matter of fact, and that's just how life is. When I go back to visit my parents, which is not very often, you know, people do make fun of me and they think, well, I'm better than them. It's like, no, I don't. I just know what I need to do to get ahead in life, and I'm willing to do it to get there. I am not ashamed of where I grew up, apart from the fact there's not a lot of bookshops, but there we go. I don't think there were any bookshops where I grew up. I think there's one museum, but that's not very good. But anyway, I digress. But again, it's about looking at what, going back to the teachers in the school in Egypt where I worked. There was lots of symbolic gestures. So they would, the teachers, they would, be very kind, and the habibti, they would be, maybe at sometimes at Christmas, Eid and the Ramadan, there might be gestures of food given. They might bring in some of their leftovers or things that they no longer want as a gesture of, we're working together. But then when the mopping needs doing and we need to get rid of the water, where were they? Standing there waiting for their skivvies to get on with it. Again, let's look at what our symbolic gestures are. Is a symbolic gesture, we feel that we need to do something. We've said we're going to do so. Oh, instead of attending the event, maybe I'll just share it. Maybe I'll just like it. Maybe I'll just put a ChatGPT comment on it. And this is the other thing about the symbolic gestures. I'm going to make a comment. I'm not going to read what the post is about. I'm not going to actually think about what this person has thought to write or thought to put into ChatGPT these days and then posted. Really, we're not thinking anymore. And it's no surprises, and people aren't surprised that I don't like ChatGPT. It has its uses. It is something it's a tool in your toolkit. But when so many people are writing their LinkedIn posts with it and then they're commenting with it, it actually shows a level of laziness, of insincerity. It shows that you can't be bothered to actually think about anything or actually truly engage. It's so shallow and empty and disingenuous that I can't stand it. I really, really can't. I think it's disrespectful, not only to other people, but also to ourselves and to the education that our parents gave to us. But again, these are just my views, and they are what are they, 6.9 billion people in the world, and my opinion is just one of them. But again, it's when we make those choices to be a real ally, and we show respect and integrity, and we want to really support somebody, are we showing up? I have a friend who's rebuilding herself, and um, she invited me to be on her stomach. No, not on her stomach, on her summit. Okay, on her summit. Don't know why I said stomach, but there we go. And I know that she's not paying, and I normally charge to be a speaker. But she's a friend, she's rebuilding. It's great exposure for me. Why not? Let me do it. Yes, I'll help you. And I show up for her, and I'm showing up for myself, and I'm showing up for all the other women we're going to be of service to. That's real allyship. That's like, yeah, let's do this. Let's go and be of service to other people. Yes, I charge to be a speaker, but there are opportunities that and I get to be on stage with these fabulous other women. I get to meet incredible women and learn from them as much as others are learning from me. And again, it's making those deliberate choices, those informed choices, on how to show up and act with integrity. So yeah, if I want to be of service, there are things I will be of service to. I will be of service to myself as well, and that's not selfish. In fact, it's probably not a bad thing to be more selfish, because we are living in a world of people pleasing and fake allyship, I call them fake ass Fionas a lot of the time, because they will say all the things, in public, and say all the things on social media. Oh, I'm really here for you, call anytime. It's a load of bollocks. It really, really is. Those of you who don't like that word, never mind. You'll get over it. And again, it's like, I support you, I'm there for you, but are these people buying your products? Are they buying your services? Are they investing in themselves? Are they referring you to other people? Are they actually sharing and, buying, people tell me, I'm really impressed with you, I'm so proud of you. How many times have they bought a book, one of my books, as a gift for friends? How many times have they bought the products that I share? And remember, and this is something I've always told my mentees and my clients, do not expect your family and friends to support you, because there are complete strangers who will support you more than your family and your friends. And most people would rather keep filling the bank accounts of famous people, even though you probably do a much better job, or produce a much better product. Family, friends, and acquaintances will more often than not prefer to put the money in big companies, big brands, and big influencers than support you as a small business or as a startup author. And the moment we accept that, and the moment we just go, if my friends and family support me, brilliant. If my network supports me, brilliant. But I'm going, do not limit yourself. Go far, go wide, and show up completely as yourself. Do not water yourself down for anybody else, even if it makes someone uncomfortable. Because the thing is that, there is that phrase, your vibe attracts your tribe, right? I know that if I was to pretend to be somebody else, I wouldn't have the real change makers. I wouldn't have the people that light me up, make me giggle, and that I can have real honest conversations with. And if I can't be myself with the people around me, I am with the wrong people. If I cannot completely share who I am, then I am with the wrong people. And if I'm not inspired by the people around me, I'm in the wrong room. And that doesn't mean to say, and also if I know more than everybody in the room that I'm in, I'm also in the wrong room. Because if I'm not learning and I'm also not inspiring, again, wrong room, get off the bus, get on a different one, go in a new direction. And this next bit that I'm going to say is, I think, really, really important, because as you know, at the end of those of you who've been watching every week, you'll see at the last slide that what you think and what you feel is really important. I put it into all of my books. I've always taught my children this. No one can speak for us. No one should speak for us. And not even me as a mother can I speak for my children. I can teach them how to own their voice. I can help them own their own voice. I can help them uncover what it is that they want to say, what it is they're thinking, and help them make sense of it. But I have no right to speak for them. And I remember there was a woman that I was friends with for a while, and wherever we went, it was just, I felt suffocated and I didn't feel safe. And I realized it was because she was preempting everything that I was about to say. She was telling people about me rather than allowing me to meet people at face value, rather than allowing me to introduce myself and share what it was that I was talking about or what I wanted. She did it for me. And I was like, you've got to stop doing it. You are destroying our friendship. She kept doing it. And I said, if you don't stop, that's it, we're done. And she kept doing it. And I was like, you obviously don't want to be my friend and you don't want to be my ally. Because if you did, you would have stopped. We're done. And I walked away. And she was shocked. Well, what happened? What happened? And people do. They're like, you can tell them. You can tell them until you're blue in the face not to speak for you. But if that's their modus operandi, then that's what they're going to do. That's because they're not aware of other people's boundaries. That's what they do. They speak for other people, and we mustn't. We should stand with them. If we love this person, if we trust them, if we believe in what they're doing and what they're achieving, we stand with them. We stand with them through the darkness. We stand through them whilst they're rebuilding, and we stand with them through their success. And if we don't stand with them through the darkness and through the challenging times, we don't deserve to stand with them during their success. And I've learned a lot over the years. I've also learned that the more successful you become, the more people will bitch about you, the more people want to bring you down because their own jealousy, and they will twist the knife and they will say things about you and they will attack you on social media. But that says more about them and their jealousy and their inferiority than it says about you. So keep rising. Whatever you do, keep rising. And so I've already gone into what the differences are between the performative allyship and active courageous collaboration. I'll go a bit deeper into the courageous collaboration because I know that some of the things I talk about, they are really challenging. A lot of people, they don't like talking about female genital mutilation. They don't like talking about rape. They don't like talking about suicide. They don't like talking about grief. And the thing for me is, like, if we are prepared to talk about certain disabilities or certain illness, if we can talk about cancer, why can't we talk about rape? If we can talk about cancer, or STDs, which is sexually transmitted diseases or infections, as STIs, I think it's now called in Britain. If we can talk about those things, and we can talk about unresolved trauma showing up as ADHD, why can we not talk about things such as female genital mutilation? There are things that are, certain things that are done to us, such as rape and female genital mutilation, that is outside of our control, but we're the ones that are carrying or told that we should carry the shame, that we shouldn't talk about those things. We're not allowed to talk about those because they make people uncomfortable. No, we absolutely should talk about them. Because when we start talking about them, we can put things in place to stop it from happening. We can raise awareness, we can educate people, we can make policy change. But the thing is, some people don't want to talk about it. Um, and there was a series on, I can't remember what platform it was, that I was recommended to watch. Very small, short program. It was called The Gathering. And it was about a young boy who was mollycoddled by his mother. He wasn't allowed to go out. Well, this is the long and the short of it. If you haven't watched it, but you're planning on watching it, the spoiler alert is coming. And he ends up spiking a young woman and then raping her. Um, and he blames his mother because he's never allowed out, and she's completely emasculated him and isolated him, and he needed some kind of control. Um, and when the parents found out, they didn't want to do anything. They wanted to protect him. They wanted to keep protecting him. And they were willing to allow him to do what he did rather than do the right thing of reporting him to the police. Now, what that does is that allows him the privilege of protection, but also it enforces the message that he's okay to do it, and then do it again, and then do it again. And that's why when we talk about real issues, we need real solidarity. We need courageous collaboration by our sides, because when we speak up about these things, we're not speaking up about them for ourselves. We're doing it to help protect other people and to help create changes in the law. We're doing it to help other people from being harmed. And we have a lot of people go, I'm really with you and I'm really sorry to hear that it's happened. But are you really sorry? Are you really? Because if you were really sorry, you'd be standing by our side and you would be there with us, as we traverse this, rather than, oh, I can't talk to them, they're a bit of a dirty little secret, or I can't talk to them, I can't look at them, and that's fake friendships. um and like I said here, real solidarity, it disrupts comfort and it disrupts the hierarchy. And I'll use an example that I always used to speak to my mother about. When we avoid these challenging subjects, because she's like, why do you talk about these things, why do you write about them? I'm like, Mum, because the thing is, it's like we get a glass and we break it on the floor, and instead of sweeping it up, we put a carpet over it or we put a rug over it, and then we keep walking on that rug, and then eventually the glass is going to come through, it's going to start cutting our feet, it's going to start hurting again. And sometimes we've totally forgotten what's underneath the rug, and we're just like, oh, why does it keep hurting? Why does this keep happening? Why do I keep lashing out and getting cross and doing all these things? It's because we've not dealt with the problem. We haven't lifted the rug, swept up the glass, removed it, put a brand new rug down. And then when we do that, when we do it with our trauma, when we do it with our fears, when we do it with our lack of courage, when we do that, then we can become stronger, and we can be stronger together, and we can face more things instead of allowing those bits of glass to keep cutting us, or those traumas to keep triggering us, or those fears and those jealousies and that spite to keep us lashing out at other people who are achieving more, who are more confident, or who are willing to speak up and out and stand with other people. It's not about being born courageous. It's about knowing that with each new step we get better. And again, when we're born, we learn to walk. It's about putting one foot in front of the other. It's about learning to, once we've learned to walk, learning to run, and then we've learned to run. I probably learned to swim before I learned to run. Me being a bit of a mermaid. And and it's about, am I going to keep doing this? I learned to swim in a pool, and then I go in a lake, and then I'll swim in an ocean. And it's about building that up. People that are allies and that are making real courageous change in the world, they've probably been through some of the hardest times you could probably ever imagine, and they've built up this strength and this courage because they have to. It's part of their healing modality, it's part of their healing journey, it's part of the person that they were born to be. And when we are striking them down and saying no, and we're being fake performers, and then they cut ties with us and we go, oh, well, you know, they're an asshole or she's a bitch. It's not really what's going on. It's just that they've shown you that your words are empty. They've shown you that you're just being performative and that you have no backbone, and they need people around them that are going to have the integrity of their word. They're going to stand by them, and they're actually going to be, you know, real, true allies. Where are we up to here now? Yeah, so, and a lot of us that do speak about these challenging subjects, we do want real solidarity, because if you're just somebody who says something just for vanity metrics or just to look good, what is it you're hiding? And anyone can say anything, you know, anyone can like something. Oh, you know, they're buying from there, or they're liking that comment. Oh, I think I'll like it. Or they've commented, let me comment. You know, it will start to have something like a lemming mentality, you know, that, you know, well, they believe it, so it must be true. Oh, well, they buy that, so it must be good. But is it? You know, millions of people buy the Sun newspaper. Millions of people read the Daily Mail and the Daily Express. They're not good. Don't buy them. Lots of people rely on the BBC. Don't. Just because millions of people do does not mean to say it's right. But just because somebody is in a minority doesn't mean to say that they're wrong either. Maybe it's that minority that's actually changing the world. You know, whether you're a fan of Elon Musk or not, you know, the guy is a bit of a genius in many ways. You know, whether we agree with taking LSD, you know, when we look at the people who, you know, got the double helix breakdown, I can't remember the chap's name, you know, when we're looking at psychotherapy, when we're looking at the invention of the radio, when we're looking at the light bulb, these people were in a minority. They were the one person that changed everything, you know. So being in a minority is not always wrong. Being in a minority is probably the game-changing person you need to be, and you need to stand by that person, because I guarantee you this, the people who have stood by me for the last 30 years, they're going to be the people that continue with me. The people that have stood by me in the last year, that have been there while I've been in my darkest times, they're going to be the people I remember and I take with me until they, you know, till they're not that person that needs to be taken with me. Again, it's the people that stand by you when you're in your most difficult times that you want by your side in the best of times, because they've already gone through the grit with you. And those that say they are, but they're not there for you. I mean, we've all got those friends. I mean, I've called a couple of friends of mine out on it recently. You know, we've been friends a long time, but you never invite me out with your other friends. You never invite me on holiday. We never go out. You never make the time to call me. It's always a message on social media. Why? Do I embarrass you? Am I just someone to be hidden away? What is it that you're truly hiding? Because if I embarrass you, or you don't like me being with you, or you feel inferior to me, or you feel you're better than me, or your other friends are better than me, then let's just call it now. Let's just go in our separate ways. I don't need people like that in my life. I really don't. I haven't got time for it. Again, but a lot of these people, they're hiding something about themselves, or they're not even aware that they're doing it. You know, it's very easy to be friends on Facebook. It's very easy to be friends with the person who lives down the road. But are they your real, true friendships? If you deleted your Facebook profile today and didn't contact anybody, how many people would contact you? How many people would seek you out to come stand by your side? How many people would go, oh, they've disappeared. Why have they disappeared? What's going on? If you disappeared and you stopped going out and you stopped contacting people, how long would it take you before somebody contacted you? I'm reading a book at the moment, actually. Fascinating book, crime thriller. There's these people that there's been a serial killer, because you know it's not enough for me to read and write about human rights violations and things like that. I have to read about serial killers for fun. God, I'm so morbid. but This guy is going around killing people who are lonely. And there was a moment um, when someone outside of the case said that they all look really sad, really lonely. And it triggered an idea in the detective's head. And then obviously they follow these breadcrumbs. And it turns out that the victims of this serial killer had signed up to a clinical trial on loneliness, and this psychological trial research project about loneliness. And this was how he was finding his victims. And there were several people that had been alone and dead for weeks before someone reported them missing. Is that you? Is it going to take you weeks to know that a dear friend or someone you've known for a long time has died and is rotting in their home before you pay attention? How often are you in touch with people? Just saying. Brings it home. Might be a bit of a crime thriller, but it brings it home. How if I went to walk my dog and I got hit by a car, how many people would know? I live by myself. I'm really into my work. How many people would notice that I'm not around? How many people would notice that my LinkedIn posts had stopped? Again, how many people in your life would notice if you're not there? If you don't show up to a networking meeting, if you don't show up for, a friend's night out, how many people are you checking on? How many people are you inviting out? What are you afraid of? So again, solidarity looks different, but it's the same throughout all of our social circles. It's at home, it's at work, it's in our professional situations, it's in our sailing clubs. Obviously, I have to mention sailing. Great race on Sunday. Got another one this week. But again, all of these things that we're doing is we are taking responsibility. We are showing up. We are telling someone, you matter. What you are going through matters. And I'm here with you. And when we have accountability and we show up for that person and we say, yes, I'm going to be there for you, and we show up and we're there, that's a sign not just of self-respect and respect for that person, but it's a sign of maturity. It's like, yeah, I've got my shit together. I know what integrity looks like. I know what respect looks like. I know what allyship is. I know what it is to be, a real champion of people. And I'm going to show up. And that's what we do. That's what we do because it's the right thing to do. Not because it's the social media thing to do, or the performative thing to do, or the bandwagon to jump on. It's the right thing to do. And like I said, I think I've covered this point. There is no neutral. You're either with somebody or you're against them. You're not sitting on the fence. You either support them or you don't. Or as I like to say, you're either pregnant or you're not. You can't be half pregnant. You can't be a little bit pregnant. You're either pregnant or you're not. So you're either with me or you're against me. So if you're not with me, move along. And I've put here, that silent sabotage and saboteurs, some of these people are in your inner circle. Some of these silent sabotage tactics are not sharing your posts, or attending an event, or buying your book, or sharing your posts, or showing up for your birthday, or sending you, whether it's a bottle of wine or a bunch of flowers if you're in hospital. I would probably want sending somebody wine if they're in hospital. Or if your friend is somebody who's been sober and you go, oh, let's go to a vineyard. Why would you be inviting your friend who's sober to a vineyard? Why would you be inviting them for a night out, in the town where you know that that's not a place where they would feel safe? And this is the thing, when we don't talk about the things that we're passionate about, or the things that we're healing from, or the things that are important to us, our friends won't know, our allies won't know. These people are waiting to show up for us, because this is the flip side. If we're not talking about the things that matter to us, and we're not taking action about the things that we love and the things that we're passionate about, and the things we want to take a stand for, there are people out there waiting for us to show up, and they don't even know that they're waiting for someone to show up. They need us to share our courage and our resilience, and we need to step up, not just for ourselves, not just for the people who were showing up for, like, the minority, but for the people who need another ally to show up together. It's about showing up together for other people. And sometimes someone is there struggling to show up by themselves, and they're banging their head against the brick wall. And it's not until they see something that you're doing and they reach out, would you be interested? And if you're in a position to say yes and you don't, or you ignore their message, then all of the hot air that you speak from stage is saying, reach out to me. Yes, I'm there for you. Yes, we want to help you. We're really championing people like you. And then those people reach out to you, and then you dismiss them. All that stuff you said on stage, load of rubbish. Load of rubbish. Don't say it if you don't mean it. So yeah, and some of those people are in your family. Some of those people are your friends, or the people you think are your friends. And you do need to have those courageous conversations, like I had with a few of the women in my space. Why aren't you inviting me to family dinners, or to holidays, or nights out with the girls? What is it about me that has you not want me there? Because if you don't want me there, then why are we even friends? You have to have those conversations. You need to have the right people in your space. You need to have the right people backing you. And when you have those conversations, you will be amazed at the courage and the things that open up. You've got to raise the bar, not just for yourself, but for others. And like I said to my ex-husband when we lived in Egypt at the time, when we had been talking about the state of Egypt for so many years, we had been, talking with friends over dinner. We'd been sat in hours, and listening to people. And how many of those people actually got up off their backsides and went out into Tahrir and started protesting? And I even said to him, if you're not going to go out there and do protesting, then you can stay home with the boys and I will go. But one of us is going to Tahrir, because we have been here. We know the problems. We have the skills to go. We have been discussing what's wrong with Egypt, and if we don't go and show our support, we do not go and put our money where our mouth is, as it is, then nothing we've ever said is worthy. It's been a waste of time. It's been a waste of effort. And it's okay putting the world to rights over a cup of tea or a glass of wine with your girlfriends, or over a pint of beer with the lads. But unless you're actually going to put your words into action, why? Well, you even spouting them? Is it to look good? Is it to show a sign of intelligence? Is it because you want to do something but you don't know how? If you want to do something but you don't know how, ask. You know what? I think we should do something. What should we do? How are we going to solve this? Change the conversation. Ask smarter questions, or start asking the questions. Stop moaning about things and start questioning, how are we going to solve it? And then you'll start to see who's going to solve it with you and actually show up. Because once you start showing up and you start asking those questions, the momentum that you gain, and people that you can trust, and you can trust. Because I put here, concrete boots are not just for the mafia. The people who say they're going to help but don't, but you keep them in your space anyway, they are concrete boots. They will drag you down. They will be the naysayers. They are going to be the people who will put doubt in your mind every single step of the way, and you need to get rid of them. And I don't mean with concrete boots in the river like the mafia. I mean you need to put distance. I'm not saying cut them off completely, but you do need to put distance between you and them, so that you can rise up and you can go forward and make that change and be that ally for the communities and the individuals that you are being passionate about their cause. And I've already just covered those last two bits. Most people want to be seen as allies, but they don't know how. And this is the thing, a lot of people are afraid. because some people might lose their jobs if they speak out about it. They, if they become a whistleblower, people are afraid of that. And it's about understanding that. And if somebody wants to share something with you, like for example, all the people in my sequel series, these stories are real, true life stories, but I'm having to write them as fiction to protect the identities of the individuals and their families, or the people that were associated with them. It's no longer their story. So I've had to change the name, but I've also had to do a lot of research on other parts of the world where the culture or the situations are very similar. And I've actually used that as a location. So I've ended up having to research a different part of the world. I've had to learn about street names. I've had to learn about different practices. I've had to learn, how does this situation work in that country? How is it unfolding? What are the similarities? What are the differences? How can this story still remain true whilst being placed in a different nation? And that is sometimes when the we can actually overcome the fear. So if you're thinking of writing a book and you're not quite sure how to do it, because you need to protect identities, then book an author strategy session with me. Um, so, I'm available to help you with that. I'm doing it at the moment. I've got book 6 coming. Book 6? Yeah, book 6 that I start next year. That's going to be a challenging one, because the places where I can't talk about that's going to test me, but it's going to be worth it. And it's about understanding why these people don't want to be your real ally, why they are not going to be there in the trenches with you. And now we're at the end. Oh, I was really getting into that. So yeah, understand why there is this fear of people showing up by your side. Is it because they don't feel good enough? Is it because they don't feel that they are adding enough value? Or is it because they're worried about the impact it's going to have on their children or their work? Is it because they feel that they're going to lose their business, or they're going to lose clients? Is it because their investors are going to drop out? Or is it they just don't know how to help you? Are you making it clear to them how they can help you? So understand that layering of fear that they might have. And if you have to say, right, I need to follow this path and you can't come with me, accept that. Don't be spiteful about it. Don't be nasty about it. Make your choice, own it, send the person off with love, send them love, and move on. There is no point making the choices that we make in life and then being spiteful and nasty and then trying to sabotage the person just because they move on without you. That's very immature. And remember, soul always knows. So if you've got doubts about someone, listen. If you know that you met this person in a very low vibrational state, check in with that. Because you might have been having a really bad day and that person might have come along at that point, because that low vibration you were in that day attracted that person. Now look at that person when you're in a higher vibrational state and go, does this person really belong in my life? Yes or no? Actually, no. That person, there's just too many red flags, or there's just too many mismatches. Send them on their way. You don't even have to answer. You don't have to explain yourself to anybody. And no is a full sentence. And remember, your ideas and your voice matter, not just to you, but to others. So use them. And remember, live a life of agency by choosing wisely and choosing yourself. So that is me on fire again this week. Oh, I'm so excited. 2 more weeks to go. And what have we got here? I pulled open the website. I will be very honest. I was out walking my dog, and we only got back a few minutes before I jumped on here. So I was just like, get the website open. So if you've got any questions at all, about anything, you can see that my website is going through a bit of a makeover. But the writers, we've got the 7-week author course. So the 7-week author course is being rebranded. It's very exciting. And it's going to be part of my new author academy, the DBI Author Academy, where we're going to be having writers hours. There's going to be 3 levels to the Author Academy, you can come and join me at a level that's affordable to you. Obviously, the more you invest, the more of my expertise you get, the more you get me on a one-to-one basis. But the 7-week author courses are going to be available to everybody at every level. And we're going to have writers' hours. We're going to have like specialists come in, talk about the different things that you're going to need to know about. We're going to be graphic designers, editors, book marketers, typesetters. We're going to have researchers, legal people, you name it, we're going to have them in there. So the DBI Author Academy is almost ready. We're going to be selling the author essentials. So these are just worksheets. I give them people that work with me on a one-to-one. They get these author essentials and my 7-week author course as part of the package, part of the publishing package. And I'm really, really grateful because I see far too many people struggling and they don't know how to do this. So I bundled them all up, and you're going to get the author essentials, and they're packaged up in different things. You've got the marketing one, you've got like how to write it, the launch process, etc., etc. So, and there's obviously the, as I've said before, the manuscript assessment. Now, the manuscript assessment, people keep asking me, what is that about? Okay, so there's the critical review and there's a manuscript assessment. They normally take between 10 and 20 hours for me to do, depending on obviously the length of the manuscript and how good your writing is. So the critical review will be me looking at, okay, is this cohesive? Does it flow? Is there 1, 2, or 5 stories in this this manuscript? What needs pulling out? What needs dumping? Because sometimes as a writer, especially as a first-time writer, if it's a memoir, we want to include as many people that have helped us or been in the journey on the way, and we end up putting all of these characters. And I did it. My first book, I was like, oh my god, how many side characters were there? Not necessary. Edit them out. So the critical review will be mainly touching on that. I'll be looking at how globally aware your book is and giving you ideas on how to make it a much better manuscript. You will get the basic edit through there. So I will be looking at, spelling. I'll be checking facts in there. The manuscript assessment takes it to a whole other level. I'll be looking at how marketable is this? Can we market it with this? Oh, this is a good quote. We need to focus on that. Okay, this is where you need to position yourself. I'll also be going through it and looking at it. Okay, where are the revenue streams here? I'll be looking at it, making sure it's really culturally cohesive. So when you get to translate your books and give it to international rights, making sure everything there is so spot on that it actually reduces the fees involved for you, or the percentages that the international rights people will take on editing it and making sure that it's suitable for an international market. So that is a manuscript assessment. The narrative coaching, you've heard me giving it quite a bit in this series about developing yourself and change your story, change your life. And it's about me working with you on that. And book anthologies. The book anthologies, all of my one-on-one coaching includes a narrative coaching. The book anthologies will include that as well. But if you want to publish a book and you want to talk about a specific subject, but you want to share the costs of publishing with other people and you want to actually get your message out far and wide, then consider sharing the costs and sharing the platform with a group of a group of 10 of you. I would never recommend more than 10, which brings me quite nicely into the segue. When we come back in the new year, we will be having a series on anthologies and how best to create an anthology. So make sure you tune in for that. And if you do want to have an author strategy call with me, narrative coaching inquiry, if you want to have a one-on-one session with me that's directly related to you and your situation, you've already been following me. You know what I'm like. You know that I'm forthright. You know that I know what I'm talking about. You've been following me for a while. So stop with the excuses. Book a session with me. They are now paid for because there is a lot of content out there that I've given, and my time is more and more valuable all of the time. The more I learn, the more I earn. I want you to know that the more you learn, the more you earn. And if people are not willing to pay for your fees, then that's on them, because our fees are not based on other people's budgets. They are based on our expertise and our experience. So make sure that if you want to have a narrative coaching session with me, go and follow this link, and then we can get cracker. As they say, we can get cracker-lacking. I think that's Donkey out of Shrek. So anyway, I think I've stopped sharing now. I don't think I actually probably have. But thank you so much for joining me today. Like I said, please do join us for the next series. That is all going to be on anthologies. I think the next series, actually, we're just going to do a quick short one before Christmas. I think, why are we? I don't even remember. You will get an email if you've signed up to my email list. If you haven't signed up to my email list, make sure you do. You can do that by visiting my website, dawnbates.com/sign up. I think it's somewhere on there. Contact, I think it's on there. Yeah. You'll see it on the website. But yeah, so thank you for joining me, and yeah, let's go and change the world. Let's go make a difference and find our allies rather than the silent saboteurs. Get rid of them. Thank you so much. Ciao for now.